Oh, it's nice to talk to you guys without a lot of technical issues. Hope you're doing well. Happy Halloween, everyone. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. It is a wave weather alert day, but make sure I'm clear as we're about ready to see. I do not see dangerous weather moving in. It's more of an impact setup where we have some rain and wind, and which make sure everyone is aware of that. So if you need to adjust your plans accordingly, you have the info that you need to do just that. Okay. But it will be at times windy and rain, and there is a low wind chance that there could be a warning, a severe thunderstorm warning, but that chance is quite low. It is quite low. There's no indicator right now that that is going to be a big concern for us right now. We're taking it hour by hour, but the highest wind gusts have been able to find really Indiana has been roughly about 41 miles per hour, and that's been around Indianapolis. In Kentucky so far, I've had about a 33 mile per hour gust, but we're going to check on those wind speeds because that may have updated here, and we'll check the map out together. So we're going to walk through the radar trends. We're going to get through the wind. I'll get you through the trick-or-treat times. Still some minor adjustments, but overall, if there's any trend, it's really to improve, not to worsen the scenario, which is good, but still it's going to be messy. There's no doubt about it. So while you may have dry weather now in your area, some of you are getting rain, but if you have dry weather now, that'll be changing here very soon. And then we'll get into a bit of the longer term outlook, and then I'll discuss what will happen with the winter forecast coming up in just a second. As always, you guys can comment, of course, on the social media side, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and on Twitch as well. All right. So Twana Andrew has a request. Can I make it snow? No. Despite popular belief, we do not control the weather. Okay. I'll just leave it at that. All right. Let me get you to that live show. Ooh, the flags are below in there. This is over in New Albany at the moment. Flags hanging on tight. Take a look at the clouds in distance. You can see that motion is fairly fast above our heads, roughly about a 60 to 70 knot wind that is flying above our head at the moment. That is actually going to increase between now and about 3 o'clock for this afternoon. So that's really going to be the worst of the wind. It will be really as this band of rain is moving into the area, and even the wind speeds right ahead of that as it passes on by. All right, let's start first off with the radar view and the satellite, because that is important as well. Because in a day like today, with that strong wind belt above our head, when you get any type of sun breaking through that, you can bust into some higher wind gust, and that's where we could get those 45 mile per hour winds in a few cases. You can get it that way, but you can also get it when you get heavy downpours. So there's two different ways to get strong wind gusts today: partly sunny sky, and then also from heavier showers that are just tall enough that they reach into that wind belt that you saw those clouds flying on by. Again, the strongest of winds, no doubt, are above our head. In some cases, they do dip down below the tree line, and we feel that and see that out our window, right? You'll feel it driving on the road. I noticed it on my way in today. That was the case, and you will likely notice the same. But will it get to severe limits? And that's the big question we've got on this kind of scenario. And right now, we don't have all the ingredients for severe weather. We have one or two that show up, but not all of them. So that's the reason why it's a marginal type of setup. So this is the most recent radar view you're looking at, all right? And we've got this little band of showers that generated right ahead of the main line, if you will. This is what we see typically when you have a lot, excuse me, of warm air that is flowing into the area. You end up with some showers that try to generate in advance. So, but this is real light stuff. This is minor. But notice the sun does come out, sort of, around Corden. We'll be watching that on your SkyTrack cameras. That little bit of a dry belt works its way in. And then we get into the line of showers, and it's hard to even call them thunderstorms because the lightning count is now down to 1. It was at 44 when I sent out the notification for the blog update today. So it's decreased quite a bit. But the question will be, will this little break in sun even be enough? Is that enough time to allow for these that are beginning to collapse in height to go back up in height as they move in? Right now, based on the timing, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and this is moving in. It's going to be close. And because it is angled, that is going to complicate things a bit on that idea, because we may end up with a very much a separate line that will try to form on this, or at least the southern part will, for this afternoon in central Kentucky. So the times are going to vary. I mean, you guys watching in Bedford, Indiana, Orange County, Jasper at the moment, you've got the band of rain moving in. You probably have noticed the wind has upticked as well in your area. But for Kentucky, it's going to be a bit more delayed on getting that band into the area because of that sharp angle, which we see often in the scenario. I think Louisville, and I'll walk you through the times. Louisville is roughly about, I would say, midday, 1 o'clock. We will start to see some impacts with this rain band moving in to southern Indiana and the Louisville metro. All right. But severe weather is very, very low on that risk side, which is a good thing because we don't want that today. We don't want dangerous weather getting involved. So we can deal with an inconvenience of it being messy out with the rain and wind. But when we get to dangerous levels, that's a whole different narrative. And we do not see that signal right now, which is a good thing. Okay, so what about the wind fields? Well, again, this stretches all the way back into areas of West Kentucky. You can see this band of rain. Look at the radar, though. You can see how strong that flow of wind is coming in from the south. It's just ripping off the tops of these showers and thunder in some cases rapidly. So you get a lot of light rain on the northern side of this. But as this line disintegrates, there's not much to rip off anymore. You have less that you can spread out over the area. So what happens is you end up with a dry slot that will develop right in behind this band of rain. We should see that later this afternoon, and then we'll have to deal with the actual front as we head into later on into this evening. But again, very much an angled look here. So this is going to kind of vary a bit on the timing of some of the moderate rain and heavier rain pockets. Now, this is storm height. And when we get into evens in the oranges and reds, that's when we're looking at severe weather. You get to about 40,000 feet. That's when the warnings usually start to come out. And when you get to a 50,000 footer, then you really got some problems, and even higher than that, obviously. There is no yellow showing up in our area. We had a few hints of that. You could see on the radar briefly back into Missouri there. But even the green, which is roughly about 20, 30,000 feet, has decreased quite a bit. So these are collapsing. But again, the Weather Service, Storm Prediction Center, they're all in the same boat on the idea of, will there be enough time for those some breaks that are developing for the line to try to build back up again and height? It doesn't have to go much, maybe another 5 to 10,000 feet in height, and we will get some strong wind gusts into the area. So that's what we're watching for the next few hours. Will be this main push, and then I think we'll get a break, and then one more round of rain this evening. But the rain for the evening is trending on the lighter side. Okay, so again, here's the radar view of that band that we'll be pushing in the next few hours. Here's a wider view of that. You can see it stretches all the way back into areas of the Ozarks. The low itself is back here into near the Twin Cities and heading north of the Great Lakes. So it's taking the front and trying to drag it with it. We have a very strong high pressure. You can't see it, but it's off to the east, and that is really fighting against the front. That's the reason why it's wanting to run out of gas. And it's the reason why we do not have the higher severe threat than we normally would in this scenario. So everything works together as a team, right? You see the little bit of a break, though. Again, this will form right in behind this rain band. You'll see this decrease on the radar. You should see less and less of the green here and a little more of a dry punch. And then we'll have one more round of rain with the actual front, which is back here into Quincy, Illinois. So we got some time. It's going to take another 12 hours to get that into wave country. Severe threat. This is the most recent update of about an hour or so ago. Still a marginal risk, but it's aimed right into wave country and roughly all the way down to Tennessee. And I think it's placed very well. I think it accounts for the idea that we could get some wind gusts that could get up there, maybe up to 50 miles per hour in isolated cases, but most gusts will be between 30 and 40 will be the most common. Those surges will be isolated, but boy, this is what I call certainly a leaf stripper. It's going to be taking care of our trees as it passes on by. And as I mentioned before, you're going to end up with a lot of leaves stuck to your car, everything else with that wind. It's just going to be a bit messy out there. So I understand why a lot of the events for trick-or-treating have been adjusted, just because it's just not an ideal. It's not a fun setup. It's spooky to watch a scary movie with. Don't get me wrong. This is a perfect setup for Halloween in that sense. But it's not great for the kids being out and about because they don't get a chance to really show off their costumes, right? If it's kind of raining outside and if they have makeup for their costume, then you got to worry about that. So it's just an inconvenience and an impact on that. So everyone that makes big plans for this one day of the year, we just want to make sure that you're aware of where we stand with the rain and wind. All right, speaking of wind, here are the gusts regionally. Okay, we got 38 miles per hour as you head toward Kokomo, Indiana. strong wind gusts into Ohio. Most of the stronger wind gusts, as far as general wind, will likely be Indiana and the 71 corridor. But you could get some stronger wind gusts in Kentucky, only with that band of rain really that will push in. It's strong winds back into the core of the low pressure, which is back here into, again, the Midwest and the Twin Cities. But that's heading northeast. That's not heading due east. All right, closer to home, our wind gusts here locally have been running about 20 to 30 miles per hour. Jasper's coming in at 29 right now. Lexington up to 31, but the sun's trying to come out in Lexington. So again, the sun will enhance the wind, and so will some of these rain showers. And remember, the radar showed you it was raining at a moderate to even heavy pace there in Du Bois County. So when you get those taller showers that move in, that's when the wind has a bit of a jump that will surge up. So we'll have multiple rounds of surges of wind that can take place. Okay, so let me get into Futurecast. We'll do this hour by hour for you guys. Note where you're at on the map. Note the clock. Now, you got to keep in mind, we're in the event now. So using models is really tough to do because the radar is your best tool in what we call nowcasting in this scenario. But just to show you what the most recent data shows, this updates every hour. So you are getting new info every hour. And in fact, this is the 10 o'clock run that just came in. So I haven't even seen it yet. So we'll see how it looks together. Okay, so we're starting with 12:30 today. It has the line running into Jasper and Paoli at 12:30. Well, you just saw the radar. So already it's a little off on timing, right? So it's moving a little bit faster. I would say about 2 hours or so faster than what the reality is. So you got to keep that in mind. I think it's going to be a little closer to Louisville at this point. But it does try to hold it together before it gets into central Kentucky. And then the northern part starts to weaken. Southern part still tries to hold on. Temperatures warm in the 70s in advance of that. You already start to see a little bit of that separation, by the way, back into Indiana there. And there's that separation. And here's the thing. At trick-or-treat time, which I know most of them are 6 to 8, but at the latter end of the 8, it is a fairly light rain and drizzle that may fall. And in some cases, you may have no rain for trick-or-treat time in your community. Just breezy outside and damp everywhere because everything's going to be wet from this first round. But you may not have much of a heavier rain at trick-or-treat time. So there is just a nice little gap that keeps evolving for trick-or-treat time that we started to see yesterday. It's starting to grow in that sense. So that's a good thing. But we get to the actual front and you see that we have another little uptick will happen. So a more widespread rain will break back out again. And that may be right at the end of trick-or-treat time, 8, 9 o'clock, but that will not be severe. That will not be severe or anything intense. It will just be back to a steady rain again. That'll carry us until about 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. All right. And after that, things calm down and we end up with a nice and quiet period as we head into the overnight hours and a much drier scenario as we head into your Friday. Okay. Is everyone clear on this setup? I thought I had, by the way, hold on one second. I think I had an hourly in here. I want to show you guys hour by hour, make sure I'm clear on that. So hold on one second. Let me find that. In the meantime, ask any questions if you got any while I'm here. Ask any questions. And then we'll get into the long term. Okay, here we go, hour by hour on a graph. Sometimes this is a little more helpful for you guys, right? So you see we were going to uptick the rain at around lunch as that band approaches. I think the max will be this afternoon, though, as it moves on by. How intense that will be on the heavy rain side, we don't know yet because we will have to see how much of the sun breaks. We'll try to build these clouds back up, as I mentioned. But I don't see anything that's overwhelming here at all. All right, so there's nothing wild with this. And then we'll have a bit of a drop with that gap, and then we'll have that second expansion of rain that will happen mid to late evening, which will get us to midnight. And then we'll quiet things down after that. So it's really not a bad setup overall here. What is the best time frame? Melissa's asking for trunk or treating. Really, it's going to be at the typical time. I would say that 6 to 8 window. It doesn't seem too bad. If you want to avoid the rain altogether, which I get that for the costumes, that window will be there. If we're going to get rain in that period, it will be a light rain, but it could be steady in spots, a steady drizzle or a steady light rain that will happen. Oh, trick or treat. Okay, sorry, Melissa. Or trunk or treat at the same time. If you're doing that, you're fine too. Hello, Adam. How you doing? I would think the heavy rain would pull, not so much help there. Yeah, I think we could get some heavier rain pockets, but I don't think we're going to have a huge amount of heavy rain. In fact, in some cases, some of these rain totals I was looking at were like a few hundredths of an inch. That's not a lot. And then I was looking at other spots, and I don't want to list the specifics because I don't think the modeling is exactly right on placement. But in some data, it's over an inch. So I think that's probably going to be the exception rather than the rule for sure on this. Mike, you had an interesting question. What is your favorite candy? Chat. Now, Mike, you've been around for a while. I've talked to you several times. So you should know, but chat knows, and I'll let them type it in. Okay, so Adam already got it. Thank you, Adam. Hello, gamer. How you doing? What is the tornado potential? You know what? It's still not zero. It really isn't still not. It's not zero, but you can't get to that point unless you get a little more height to these downpours, and we don't want that. We don't want a tornado potential, but I would like to see these heights a little higher before I felt like that was going to be an issue at all. And right now, there's just not enough data to say that. So I don't think it's going to be an issue for us at all. So I think we're okay. It looks better than what I did yesterday is what I'm trying to say. So that's good. Okay, let's see. Everyone's asking about the winter forecast. I promise I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm trying to go in order. Twix, Reese's Cups. Hello, how you doing, Sarah? Most people get Twix. And real quick, if you're wondering, why is it Twix? And why does it matter? Well, back in 2011, 2010, I can't remember when it was, so long ago, I was eating Twix and putting out an update on snow forecast. And I mentioned that if I feel like if I ate more Twix, the sugar rush would accidentally cause me to hit a higher number on the snowfall forecast. So everyone on that day was like, eat more Twix. We want a higher number. And that became, I guess at that time, in today's world sense and language, that would have been a meme, right? Well, anyway, I ended up with a lot of Twix that was sent to me. Everyone was trying. I do not send Twix to me. I do not need Twix. Okay, I've always got a supply because everyone gets it for Christmas. I get it for every holiday, even for Memorial Day. I think I even get Twix bars. So anyway, that's the kind of story on Twix if you're wondering. Okay, so yeah, I used to do a Twix index. I don't know if I'm gonna do that again or not. I'll think about it. I'll think about it there, Tim. All right. Let's see. Hi, Todd. How are you doing, Todd? Does November look positive for some severe weather? Yes and no. I think we'll have a mix of severe weather and some cold shots. I'll kind of give you a teaser on that. All right. I'll give you a teaser in a second. I promise on that one. Okay. I think everyone's okay so far on this. This is good. All right. So enjoy your Halloween this evening. Be safe out there. Just keep an eye on the kids and be careful walking. The leaves on the ground can make it a little slick. So I know they get excited and they want to start running. That's how I was anyway as a kid. So just kind of keep that in mind. And we'll be monitoring the trends with that rain band moving through. But even for your daytime plans today, as you venture out for lunch today, just be aware some heavy rain pockets will be moving in. All right, enough on that. Let's move on, right? Let's get into the upcoming weekend scenario, which is kind of split. I think Saturday's going to be fine. No problems on Saturday. We get into Sunday, a warm front's going to move in. It'll move in the wee hours, really, of your Sunday morning. It'll pass on by. A few light showers may even try to redevelop into the afternoon. Sunday will be a windier, warmer day, substantially warmer, in fact, on Sunday compared to what we'll have on Saturday. So Sunday does not look as pretty as Saturday will be. So if you're trying to make weekend plans, pick Saturday. You'll have a better time. All right. Then we get into the setup for Monday into Tuesday, election day. And this is where things get a little more complex because we are looking at quite a bit of a flow moving in from the Gulf at a very sharp angle from around, say, Galveston Bay. And then that flow will move right into the plains, the same spots that just got the severe weather. And then we get all the way to the Great Lakes. This is where you're going to have the corridor of heavy rain and in some cases severe weather. Now we're going to be right up against that. But remember that high. That high is a beast. It is really fighting us here. So it is going to really try to fight against any front again, but it's a very similar setup to what we've got today. So if it ends up matching and repeats itself, if the weather loves to do that, then we may end up with a tame version here of the scenario. But let's just take the rain and severe weather part of it off to the side. The one thing that is showing up for Election Day that does cause a bit of concern and could lead to another alert day is the wind. The wind is actually trending stronger on Election Day than what we have today. There's several 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts that are showing up in the data for Election Day. So we're going to be monitoring that for Tuesday. Meanwhile, we will likely have some type of severe weather set up that will happen just west of us. But right now, everything would support a similar idea of a weakening cold front or weakening line of storms, and we may be able to avoid severe weather altogether. But the wind, I think, right now is a bigger issue than I'm worried on than severe weather. All right, but that would be for Election Day into Wednesday. All right, after that passes on by, the question will be how much of the cool air will then try to attack portions of the Great Lakes into the Northeast, and we will be right on the edge of that. The Euro has been game busters on this idea, and I just looked at the ICON model, and which is a model they produce out of Germany. It also is signaling the same idea, but GFS does not like really the idea of a cool shot of air. But so far, the signals line up that we would have some cool air, and in fact, some chilly air. I still think we can get a day or two that highs will be in the 50s. Now, the Euro wants to take us to where we would only have highs in the 40s. That may be too low, but it could be quite a chilly setup as we head into that following weekend. But no snow signal. Sorry. Just talking temperature here. In fact, when you look at what they call the MJO, I'm not going to get into a lot of technical discussion on what that is. It has different phases. When you look at the Indian Ocean, I know we look at the whole globe. It's even forecast our weather. The whole globe matters. And it goes into phase 2, which is right here, the second box of row number 1, which is a colder than normal signal. So that's the reason why I think that the models will eventually catch up to this. And the Euro, I think, is leading the way and will end up with a cooler setup. So let's get right into the 10-day. This will cover the alert day today and then get into the weekend. Again, 60s coming our way, and then there's the 70s. Oh, yeah, don't forget, set your clocks ahead or back. Not ahead, set them back 1 hour before you go to bed Saturday night. I don't think I've ever made that mistake. Anyway, we'll get into next week. There's Tuesday, Election Day of the wind, and then we'll just gradually step down to chillier air for next week. Would you say, Brandon, putting up Christmas lights this weekend? Oh, okay. There you go. Hey, you know what? That's not really a bad idea to really decorate and put the lights up when you get these warm spells, because I do the same thing every year, and it really is the easiest thing to do. You don't have to turn them on. Just get them out there before you get into colder days, and you don't want to be out there on the ladder and freezing. All right. So good idea there, Brandon. Okay. So the winter forecast, you guys know that it comes out every year on Halloween. I have exercised caution yesterday about it coming out today because of the active weather. I didn't want it to conflict with any alerts. Well, there's a growing trend here, as I just explained, that I don't see any weather issues for this evening. So the winter forecast will be coming out tonight, and it will be during trick-or-treat time. I don't like to hold it to an exact time. I do pick up a specific window, usually every year. So if you have been paying attention, you'll know the time. But it will hit the Wave Weather app first. So the notification will come out, and we'll go through it. And I will promise you, we'll try to keep it simple. Now, when you get the winter forecast, I'm going to give you the nuts and bolts right out of the gate. So you got to look for that notification if you want to see the snow map. I have the snow map ready to go for the winter. So I will show you all the details, all the goodies right out of the gate. You don't have to wait. I'm not going to torture you and make you wait to the end of the blog tonight. But if you want to know why the forecast is the way it is, I will then get into the more finer details. So stay tuned for the second half of the blog for that. Pretty typical what I do every year, but I just want to make sure that you guys get the all the details right out of the gate. I'm not going to make you wait this year at all. So again, look for that notification. Make sure to download the Wave Weather app. If you want that, it will be online late tonight. It will then hit, so you're not going to miss it. And it will be on the Wave Weather app for a couple of weeks. So there's options associated. If you're going to be busy tonight, don't panic. You're going to eventually see it. You're not going to miss it. But if you want to see it right away and see it first, then yeah, you're going to have the app to get that. All right, guys, I appreciate you as always. We'll talk tonight, and we'll see how things go for this afternoon. Again, we'll be keeping an eye on the rain and wind trends as we head into the nighttime hours. I appreciate you as always. Have a good one. See you on the flip side.